Dear Mom, I'm sorry it's been a while since we've talked, and that I won't be seeing you this weekend like I promised. I'm sorry I picked the tomatoes off the pizza you made me, and I'm sorry my stepbrother still refuses to tell you he's gay. I'm sorry that I won't make it to Tabby's baby shower. I'm sorry that you're one of the 17 million adults that suffers from an alcohol use disorder in the United States. I'm sorry that Dad and I still haven't talked. I'm sorry Grandpa died. I'm sorry that I've always been so stubborn. I'm sorry that we screamed at each other on the beach in Florida when I was 13 because I wanted to kill myself, and that it was the first time I ever heard your voice crack from distress. I'm sorry that I drew on the walls of my bedroom with permanent marker, and that Dad yelled at you for it. I'm sorry that I used to spit in the Play-Doh to keep it malleable. I'm sorry I was always so dramatic. I'm sorry that you sat through so many concerts and plays through the years that you started bringing minis in your purse whenever you attended. I'm sorry you never felt like you knew what you were doing with a daughter. I'm sorry I didn't thank you enough for the shirt that you brought to my bar in a lunchbox, and I'm sorry that you felt like you had to get drunk before I came into work and talk to my boss about how much I've changed. I'm sorry that you turned that free Chardonnay into a reason to tell him about the new teeth marks you saw on my neck, and that you were more comfortable telling him that you felt like you were losing me. You were right, though. That shirt does match my eyes. I'm sorry my temper is so short when I'm home. I'm sorry I haven't invited you over. I'm sorry that I yelled at you in front of my uncle because you were shit-faced by 8 like you are every night of the week. And I'm sorry that I have never been viscous enough to fill the hole in your heart that your father's death left you with, but Jesus, wine isn't either. I'm sorry that when I was 6 I lied about eating a strawberry that you found in the trash later. I'm sorry that when I was 4 I hated my new stepdad so much that I told my dad he hit me. I'm sorry that I tell my friends you're a cute alcoholic. I'm sorry I don't want any more fuzzy socks for Christmas. I'm sorry I forgot to buy you praying mantis eggs for Mother's Day like I have every year. I'm sorry that I'm your greatest achievement. I'm sorry that I can't stand when you drink because it reminds me of all the things I can't fix. I'm sorry that you lost your dad too soon and that I was too young to understand why you were never okay again. I'm sorry that I never told you how I actually cut my hand open. I'm sorry that you still pretend I did it accidentally and that you didn't know that when I showed it to you my ankles were bleeding too. I'm sorry I was so selfish. I'm sorry I hated you instead of the alcohol. I'm sorry that I was an accident with a man you didn't love who didn't love you. I'm sorry that you both love me even more because you knew you didn't want me. I'm sorry that my father was so abusive that you left because you never wanted me to grow up in a house where a woman was supposed to be treated that way. I'm sorry that despite your efforts I became 1 out of every 4 women that will live through domestic violence. I'm sorry you feel like you could have prevented it. I'm sorry you couldn't have. I'm sorry I only notice when you get your hair cut sometimes. I'm sorry you think I'm lying when I say I'm busy. I'm sorry you still remake my bed sometimes, and I'm sorry it still smells like my shampoo and that fucking hamster. I'm sorry Dad calls you now instead of me. I'm sorry I do my own laundry now. I'm sorry Grandpa's lilies are strangling the other flowers, and I'm sorry they die in the winter. I'm sorry I was the best and worst thing to ever happen to you, and you to me. But Mom, I love you.